Hello fellow RPG makers and welcome to the first ever tutorial with commentary. I can finally afford to record videos like this because I have a stronger machine, so I can record without losing the audio after 2 or 3 minutes of recording. Which is a good thing because the one thing I hated on my Pixie tutorials was that it took 8 hours to create just one video that was not of the best quality. Anyway, in this tutorial I will teach you the basics of RPG Maker MV scripting, namely the language it uses, the important data structures, and maybe you can see something useful that you might use in developing a plugin. So let's jump straight into it. I have already the project's scripts open, and if you click on it you can see this syntax which is specific to a language called JavaScript, and it is important to know that it is JavaScript and not Java, because even though some people think these two are interchangeable, they are not. They are two different languages. So if you don't know JavaScript, I recommend you to take a free online course. I use sololearn.com, but they are the same wherever you go, so it doesn't really matter where you take it. I also recommend you though that you take a C++ course, because I have never seen a JavaScript course that would teach you about object-oriented programming, which is what we will use here. Don't be afraid, even though JavaScript and C++ are two different languages with different syntaxes, the core principles are the same. They just have their own unique quirks. So you don't have to be afraid that what you learn on C++ is unusable here. So let's take a look at what plugins we already have here. This is a fresh project. We just deactivated this plugin and deactivated title screen. So we can see two plugins. One of them is Community Basic, which is a basic plugin that fixes a couple of problems RPG Maker MV had, and made it with MV. That is a splash screen plugin that I usually turn off because I don't want to wait for 10 seconds every time I launch the game. So let's take a look at the data structures. New game. Let's open the developer tools, and we are already in the console. If you want to have it dark like this, just go here, these three dots, go to settings, and select the dark theme. Anyway, the most important data structures we will need to know are the current scene, the data objects, and the game objects. If we want to access the current scene, we simply type in scene manager /scene and hit enter, and it already shows us the current scene, which is scene map. We are on the map, so scene map corresponds. We have some important data here, but more about it somewhere in future episodes maybe. If we go to the menu and type it again, we are in the menu. If we go to options, we are in the options. If we go to save, we are on the save or scene save, etc, etc, etc. So if we want to take a look at other objects, we simply type $, and we already see that all is suggested in this. Here we have data objects and game objects and some irrelevant things. The format for it is always the same. So for example, if I want to open a data object, I simply type in the $, lowercase data, actors for actors, or armors for armors, etc. And if I want to open the game object, again game, that is lowercase, and actors for actors, or player for player, oops, and if we open the game actors, we once again see the basic data. Now these are game objects, so we will see the data from current game. For example, we can see his HP or his MP, name, and equips, or we can see here skills. An interesting thing is, using the dev console, I can manipulate this data on the go. So for example, if I want to change his HP, I'll type in game actors dot slash data 1./hp equals 200, and he has 200 HP. If I want to change his name, I can do it too. mp name equals, I don't know, Doodle. Why not? And if I refresh, he is named Doodle and not Harold anymore. So the important thing would be, where do these things come from? So let's close this menu and let's take a look at the core scripts. We can see the several core scripts. One of them is main.js, which only runs the game, plugin.js, which contains the plugins, and as well as the parameters, as we can see here. Also RPG core.js, which contains the core functions that oftentimes we don't really see, but they are necessary because they handle everything on the back end of the game. Then here we have RPG managers. Everything that needs to be handled is handled via some sort of manager. For example, the current scene is handled by a scene manager. Here we have data manager, and we can see here that the base objects are already defined: data map and game data object, game object, test event if we test an event. Lower we have other objects, for example storage manager, we have or config manager, storage manager, image manager, audio manager, and other managers. Here we have RPG objects, which contains the data about game objects. Here we have RPG scenes, which contains the data about concrete scenes. For example, here we can see the data about menu, or about loading scene, about shop scene, etc. RPG sprites contains the data about visuals. For example, it handles the event sprites or character sprites, it handles the ship sprites or airship, it handles butlers and other sprites. And last but not least, we have RPG windows, which contains the data about windows. By the way, I completely forgot to explain what the data object was. So if we take a look at the data actors, for example, and hit enter, we can see these 4 columns, and these are actually taken from the data files of the game. So if we open the data file, data folder, and go to actors.json, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It contains all the data which is here. It's also written here. This is used just to load the base of the characters. So I think that would be it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, and I'll see you in the next video.